is a boulder. You're dead stop. All right, it's going to take a lot more effort to get this thing rolling. But once we get it rolling, you have to push as hard.
No.
You really don't. It sort of has momentum and keeps going. And that's what you want, because every client you bring into your world, if you do a good job and they're happy with the service that you give them, and if you maintain a relationship with them, what might they do? Refer you. That's the name of the game. I mean, most people are only going to buy 3 or 4 or 5 houses in a lifetime, but how many people could they refer you to? Hundreds. But that's the little secret that a lot of people forget. And that's one of the things, like, where's our here? So, you know, not only in the office, but outside, treat people the way you want to be treated. If you treat people right and you do the right thing, even if it means you have to, you know, if you're doing the right thing and it costs you a deal, or you don't sell the house or whatever, if you keep doing the right thing, that's what's going to really give you the momentum in your referral game down the line. So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about. Today is not going to be earth-shattering as far as information. This is more getting things started. And then each week we'll add on and add on. We're going to try, I think, what is the schedule? Do we have 3 classes?
Mhm.
3 classes, and we're going to take a break because obviously the holiday season, we don't want to, you know, be that kind of, you know, we're cracking the whip. All good, do your thing, but hopefully we'll give you some information where maybe as you're seeing friends and family and going to cocktail parties and whatever else, you'll be able to use some of this information to generate some leads and plant some seeds in that area, so that in 2022, then you can harvest that those crops and get some more deals. So if everybody have one of these handy dandy workbooks? If you don't, Shannon is on the move, and we'll get that for you. So if you turn to this little intro page right here,
There's more coming off the copier.
we'll skip down. Well, let's look at the third sentence. The only question is, how hard are you willing to work for your success? So let me ask you a quick question. I do this a lot. I ask this question. How many of you got in the real estate business to better your lives, change your life, and become financially independent? How many? How many people got in the business to fail? You've been so successful in everything in your life. Now you just want to try something that you can just have screw up and fail. Anybody? All right. So yet what is the percentage
Recording in progress.
that actually are in the business, let's say 18 months after they start? What percentage is still in the business?
20.
I was gonna say 20%. Yeah, it's pretty low.
I think it's like an 80 to 85% adios rate, certainly within the first 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So does anybody want to be in that group? No. Okay. So in order to be in the successful group, you have to do some things that are different than everybody else. I guess you could call this a contrarian view of real estate. So if you're just you guys and you're looking at realtors and everybody is marching this way, not saying that it's 100% bad, but if you do it like everybody else is doing it, then you could be in that group that's going to be gonzo. Okay, you've got to do some things differently. The first thing is to work hard, right? And everybody said, "Oh, of course I can do that." Well, you got to, and it's got to be consistent.
Once they're in, they read your data. It's always
Everybody's coming in on the internet.
Mute.
Okay, so if you can outwork the competition, that is one step to your success. All right, everybody agree with that?
Mhm.
And so, but then people are like, well, what do I need to do? And that's what we're going to talk about here. We're going to give you the things that will be profitable activities and try to give you some accountability so that you can maintain that level of intensity and get some things done, right? So if you continue on here, it says the idea of plus one is to help you add 1 deal per month. We talked about that. In order to do this, we're going to ask you to modify the way you work. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Please be open-minded to the modifications and think positively about your future. We look forward to your success. So if you all heard that definition of insanity, so you got to be willing to do something different. And some of us have a few miles on us and some of us are younger. The older you are, sometimes the harder it is to make a change.
She's saying.
And I think in doing a lot of training and coaching in real estate, the people that are willing to make some changes to who they are successful. Some of you are natural salespeople, okay, and that's good. Some of you are not, and that's okay too. You just need to change and adapt yourself to become something different. No one is perfect. Don't tell my wife. It would shock her for me to say that even about myself.
Shock her opinion of you.
Yes,
Yeah,
it would.
yeah.
It would. But no one's perfect. So we all have to make some changes. But here's the cool thing. How many of you are brand new or within 6 months in the real estate business? Raise your hand. Go ahead and raise your hand. Don't be afraid of that. Raise your hand like this. Okay, so we got, let me count this. Raise them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of you are relatively brand new. Anybody in here have more than 5 years experience? 1, 2. Okay. So, and Shannon back in the back. So for those of you that are new, and I guess for the experienced agents as well, here, think of this analogy. I guess now they have whiteboards, but when I was in college and school, they called it blackboard. All right. So chalkboard, right?
Right.
Your whole life is written here. However old you are, it's all here. Here's your whole story. And a lot of times we feel like we just got to carry, we can't be any different than what we've always been. So we just carry that around. Well, here's the great news, especially if you're brand new. You have the opportunity to take this away and write your whole story. Think about that. No matter what you did, if you were a widget maker or a, professional fencer or whatever you might have been, that was you before. This is you now. So you can write your own story and become great. And if you look around, next time you go to the Hometown Realty, like big sales meeting, you look around and you look at some of the most successful agents we have, they have done just that. They have rewritten their story, and money isn't everything, right? Money gives you opportunities and, I like it. I'm sure you do too, right? But you think about it, here's a guy like Tommy Sabiga. Hey, Tommy Sabiga was, and you know this, Ryan, because you probably worked with him. He was the FCA or Young Life director in Hanover County, one of the Young Life directors. Is that a good thing? Did a lot of good for the community, helped a lot of kids and everything. That's an awesome thing. How do you think FCA director does, Young Life director does on payday?
Poorly.
It's just like anything. That's like being a teacher or a nurse or a police officer, whatever. Those are very valuable services to the community. Unfortunately, they're just not rewarded that well on payday. So as his family grew, he realized he needed to make a change, got into the real estate business. And I don't know if you know who Tommy Speig is. If you don't, might be a good guy to just go and shake his hand, ask him a couple questions. But he has changed his life tremendously by getting in this business, employing the techniques that we're talking about throughout this course, sticking to it and be consistent. And, it's just the sky's the limit. It'll be amazing to watch where he can take this thing, because I would think within a couple of years, he'll be able to make $2 million. Would that look nice on any of you guys? Not that money is everything. Think of that. What do you got to do? You got to be like a rock star or a professional athlete to make that kind of money, unless you're in this business, because the sky's the limit. What's the danger of this business? There's no ceiling, but there's also no floor, like a trap door. You fall through it. So it's really up to you to again, erase, unpack, and then fill yourself with new ideas and things that are going to work and take you to where you need to go. All right, so let's get right to the old program here. So let's go to the next page. What we have here is a checklist of some things that we want to try to accomplish in the first month of this thing. So we did this course a couple years ago. Maybe we want to try to speed this up and have this taken care of by the time we break for the holiday season. All right, we'll go with the Express course. So 12-week goals, we're going to talk about those in a minute. Attend the monthly company sales meeting. Why would you want to go to the company sales meeting? All right, well, there's some information that'll be shared with you. But the other thing is just getting to know agents and being able to network I mean, if you meet people and you can talk to people that are successful, that are 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, maybe you could pick up something. You know, when I got in the business, there were no classes. It was just like, you just had to figure it out. And now, you know, with the size of the company and the sort of the culture we've created, people are willing to help you. I mean, if you're not a jerk, you know, and you're not just being a nagging person that's just wearing them out with questions, I mean, people will help you. And you need to remember that when you become successful, you need to reach back and try to help somebody else too. That's the culture we're trying to create here. So attend the monthly sales meeting, pick up some information, also meet some people. Don't be afraid to stay a little bit after, talk, share some ideas, and just listen. If somebody's talking about a deal, just listen, and maybe you learn something. All right, if you're new to the business, you should have received an Infinity training manual. If you don't have that, just ask your manager to give that to you. That's sort of it's a bigger ring binder than this, and it's got all sorts of information. You need to read through that. People used to talk about in college a term called osmosis. Anybody familiar with anybody ever heard of osmosis? All right, it's like about absorption. Well, osmosis, we used to talk about if you had like your textbook and you sat on your textbook, maybe it would just sort of come through osmosis. Well, I proved that did not work.
No.
Okay, it doesn't get it done. So you actually need to read the training manual, okay? And if you have questions, we're gonna meet every week and you'll have my phone number, call me and we can talk about it, all right? So let's see here, complete goals worksheet. We'll talk about the goals worksheet in a second. All right, if you're not feeling comfortable about holding an open house on your own, the thing to do is go with somebody else. So if Shannon's holding an open house this weekend and I'm not really I don't really know what it's all about, then I could ask Shannon, but again, I have to ask Shannon, is Shannon or is our experienced agents gonna be walking around trying to find you to bring you to the open house? No, they're too busy for that. But most of them would welcome having you shadow them and you can watch what they do. All right, when I was new to the business, I had buddies, Mike Chenault. We all know who Mike Chenault is, right? He's the president, founder of this company. Todd Rogers and Mike's younger brother, Rodney. I would go with them on appointments and I would sit there and I would watch Mike. Has anybody ever been on an appointment with Mike? Mr. Sklar, you've been on an appointment with Mike, right?
Yes, sir.
So the great thing about going on an appointment with Mike is you're going to learn a lot of things that you would really think are great and also some things that you would never want to do. Okay, so you got to develop your own style, and your style will not be exactly my style. You won't be Mike's style, Shannon's style, but the more exposure you get to people that are successful, you might be able to pick up a couple little tips. So when you go to the open house, that's what you're trying to do. Learn the ropes, but also be like, wow, Shannon said that. I need to make sure I say that every time. And then Shannon might say something. You might say, I want to make sure I never say that. Okay. And it's all good, right? It's all good. And then you can ask, if it's slow, you can ask questions and just sort of talk. The more information you can pick up, the better. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. So we're going to work on trying to pair you guys up and help you with getting those open houses. How many of you feel like you'd be better off shadowing than actually holding your own open house right now? Just raise your hand, no shame in that, just one of you. Everybody else is expert. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, that's good. So we just make sure that we help you get that going. And this is not a huge open house time, but we should be able to get you one before the holiday season for sure. Okay. Attend Infinity training classes. So we've been doing a series called The One Thing. Have any of you guys seen The One Thing? You like that? Okay. We're doing. Who was last week? Was it Blakely or Adrian was last week? Adrian. Okay, so Blakely Smith is this week, and this is a real good one. So Shannon was the week before. They're all recorded. They're all on the hometown YouTube channel, which is called Hometown University. If you don't know anything about that, then make sure you ask me or Shannon or somebody to help you with that. So you're gonna, for now, a lot of the Infinity training is virtual. We're gonna get back to some hardcore classes after the first of the year. We also have Powerhouse. Anybody ever been to Powerhouse? So we want to try to get to as many of those. All right, the next is the database. Next class, we're going to talk specifically about the database, but you need to develop a database. This is a list of, not just a list of names and numbers, but we call it a list of relationships. These are the people you're going to be leaning on to provide referrals to you in your career.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be your most valuable. Like if you had a briefcase, you ever see the movie where they have like the handcuff, the briefcase with the handcuff on it? This would be what you keep in that briefcase. This is going to be your most valuable asset that you have as a real estate agent, other than yourself. All right, introductory letter. All right, we're going to get to that here in a second, but we want to send out some kind of email or letter for the new people here that says, hey, I'm no longer a widget maker. I'm now with Hometown Realty and I'm doing this and I want to sit down and talk with you, whatever. We have an example of that. I'm not sure if there's one in here, but there's certainly one in the Infinity training manual. And then if you're an experienced agent and you haven't done a real good job with your database, then you're sort of sending an apology letter. You're going to say, hey, I've been in the business now for 3 years and I realized maybe I haven't kept in touch with you as well. I want to try to reach out and do all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. So one of the two, the apology letter or the introductory letter. Okay, a referral or leads group. Anybody know what referral or leads groups are? So there's a couple companies that set these things up. BNI, which is called Business Networking International, is one that's here locally, and there's also a company called 212, and there may be other ones that I don't know the names of. So the beauty of a referral group is just like it says. I mean, it's a group that meets regularly, and the whole reason for their meeting is to pass referrals. So most of them were set up this way. Say Ryan is in the referral group. He would be the only real estate agent. If she's a insurance agent, she's the only insurance agent. Davina would be the only house painter. I'd be the only plumber. It'd be so whatever profession you're in, if referrals is a part of your business plan, then you're in the group and you're the only one in your profession that's there. So, and then you meet, you try to get to know each other, you build, because referrals don't come just naturally. They have to develop. You have to build trust. So the key to a good referral group is it meets regularly, usually every week. So it's a time commitment. And then, you get to know people. And if you have a good group, then referrals happen. One year I made like $125,000 off my referral group. Is that a good investment of an hour a week? I think it is.
Not bad.
But I was in the group for 7 years. So anyway, so we'll try to get you some information about those things. Stephanie, if you can make a note of that.
I got a sheet with all the contact information.
Okay. There was a time when I didn't have to wear these glasses and I could just read, but those days are behind. All right, where are we here? So the next one, schedule and conduct at least 8 lunches, coffees, and drinks with your best potential referral sources. We'll talk about this more, but face to face. Like, you ever heard of a secret agent? Okay, what does a secret agent try to do? Not let anybody know what they're doing. Okay, a lot of real estate agents try that. They're secret agents. Nobody knows. So if you're a secret agent, how successful will you be? Probably not the success level that you want. You got to be a overt agent rather than a covert agent. So by going out and taking people, like when you think of your database, we're going to prioritize this database so we know, at least we're going to try to prioritize it. The time will tell how accurate we are, but we're going to try to guess who the best people are in the database. And we're going to try, those are the ones we want to take out to lunch and coffee or drinks or whatever they're into first. So the whole idea, getting a little ahead of us, but it's like, if I care about you, then you might care about me. If I do things for you, you might. So the guy who started the BNI, Business Network International, he talks about the giver's gain philosophy. Like, so if I give, ultimately that's like an investment that's going to return a greater amount of abundance to me. So that's a pretty cool theory, and I think it works. So that's
No, sir.
try to get some lunches and stuff. Role play the buyer presentation.
Get out of there.
Some other things. Dan,
Good boy. That's a good
name
boy.
tag. I'm not doing a very good job today of wearing my any kind of hometown gear, but you guys should all have some kind of name tag, right? You can have opportunity to buy some hometown swag. Why would you want to wear it?
People.
Yeah, I mean, people will notice that, and that's good. I mean, somebody could say, oh my God, thank God, can you write a contract for me right now? So you have a name tag. Maybe, I don't know, but that could happen. You need to be able to expand on the dialogue when somebody says, oh, Hometown Realty. You don't just say, yeah. You got to know, like, what are you going to say next? You might say, so yeah, exactly. When do you plan on moving? Which some of you would think that'd be just a terrible thing to say. Actually, that's a really good thing to say. There's a lot of different things you could come up with, but really, if you just say, well, yeah, then that's not doing anything. Because they're, even if they wanted to ask you for some help or whatever else, they're going to do, well, that person's a loser, so I'm leaving. Okay, so wearing your swag, wearing your name tag or something, but get over that because it can be very good. I was at Subway one time getting lunch, stand in line, and I got a green Hometown Realty golf shirt. And this girl standing in front of me and she goes, yeah, you work for Hometown. I'm like, yeah. You live in the area? And she's like, yeah. So were you thinking about buying or selling a house? She goes, funny you ask. I am. So, well, you're not working with an agent, all right? She goes, no, we've been really getting started. So I sat down, had lunch with this girl. Next thing you know, boom, sale. So you just never know. You never know. The thing is, nobody's probably going to just walk up to you and punch you in the nose because you have your name tag. So you don't really have anything to lose. So I think that's a good thing. Everybody know what, like a telephone contact, that's just not making a phone call and hanging up. You're actually talking to somebody, 20 pop-bys, we're gonna go to see people, writing notes, should have heard of all this. One thing we're gonna do today is work on the mayor campaign, as far as memorizing that, and then using it on a lot of new people. So the majority of what we're gonna do is not gonna be having to go out and do cold calling, and spending a lot of time with people that we don't know. Now, open houses might be a little bit different than that. There will be some of that. But the majority of what we're going to work on is trying to get the people that and mobilize them to be in a sales force for you. Okay? So it shouldn't be confrontational. It shouldn't be a tremendous amount of rejection or the things that most people don't like to deal with. It should be fairly easy. All right, go ahead and turn the page. So now we have to just come up with some general goals. If you're new to the business, it's hard to figure out what you're going to do. We don't know your skill level. We don't know your success level. And here's the thing, it's not like you get fired if this doesn't happen. Because really, it's not over till you quit. I mean, we're probably not going to fire you unless you do something dishonest. So it's up to you to figure this out. So let's just look at some of these topics. So days worked. Why would we want to track that? Yeah, if you don't work, then it's probably not going to happen for you. I mean, maybe there's some people that I've never seen somebody build a real good plan off. I'm not working at all, but I want to have a lot of success. Okay, you need. I think the more you work, the better. So the days work in the weeks that we're going through. So not the weeks that we're going to be off, but the weeks that we're going to be in this program. You think about how many days am I going to take? Do I have a vacation plan? Do I have a surgery plan? What do I got? What's going to interrupt it? And then how many days do I want to work? Okay. So the next is number of entries in the database. You may have, Davina's been in the business for a little while. Maybe she's got 200 people in her database and it's pretty tight. Okay. Then what you want to do is you can write underneath this. So how many, I need to go through and refine my database because a lot of us will just dump names in and we'll sort of forget about it. We don't know. We don't have all the contact information. We don't have it prioritized quite right. Maybe there's people in there that shouldn't be on there. Maybe we need to think about some people that aren't on there that need to be in. So if you're experienced, not just the number, but then we want to refine that and improve it. The number of contacts made by phone. The beauty of the cell phone era is that if you have other people's cell phones and they know you, they're probably going to answer the phone when you call. If they don't, you can leave a message, you can text them, whatever you want to do. But we need to be, if you're not talking to people, you're not selling anything. Okay. Great thing, like if you're going on a trip, if you ever find yourself driving in the car by yourself, it's hard to start doing, but just start calling people you know and just having conversations. the more you're in front of these people and the more you remind them, you don't want to be like, give me a deal, give me a deal, give me a deal. That's called being a pain in the ass. All right. You can just tell them, hey, I'm so excited. I'm in this new program at Hometown, and we're learning about different things. And I just wanted to call you just to see if there's anybody that I can help you or anything in real estate I can help you with. Just talk to the people. All right. Handwritten notes, pop buys, buyer appointments, and so on and so forth. I left 3 blanks at the bottom. Maybe there's some gold. Maybe you want to double down on something and say, hey, I want to really focus on, I want to go to church every weekend, every Sunday for this period of time, or I want to lose 25 pounds or whatever it is. You can make your own goals down here as well. All right, everybody good with that? So you're going to try this homework. One of the things you're going to do is fill that out. I'll get you the homework assignment here in just a minute. Okay, the schedule. How easy is it to stay on schedule 100% of the time in the real estate business?
No,
How about in life?
no.
That
Yeah,
was quick.
it's like if you're in the military, which I've never been, how many people in the military here? All right, thanks for your service. What branch of the military are you in? Army. So if you're in the Army, you probably have a pretty rigorous schedule. And if you just decide you don't want to do it, what happens? Yeah, you don't want to do that. There's consequences. We don't necessarily need to talk about what they are, but like they can lock you up, they can throw you out of the Army, they can do all sorts of stuff, make you do stuff that you really don't want to do. Okay. I've always wanted to do that here. Like I've always wanted to have like a shock collar, like dog training. Like everybody, all the new agents have shock collar. And then I have like a camera and I'm watching. And if I see you like goofing off, then bam, shot. Right? Think about that. I mean, would our productivity go up in that situation? No question. Except Mike says the shot collar is just too expensive. We can't do it. So somehow you need to kick yourself in the butt when you're off schedule. But if you don't have a schedule, then you don't know what to do. You walk aimlessly. Anybody ever played, what is the thing? It's like a Japanese pinball thing, like called pachinko. You ever see they drop like Price is Right. They drop the thing and it goes,
Oh, Plinko.
yeah, Plinko. But the game I'm thinking was called pachinko.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Anyway, or pinball, whatever you want to do. I mean, if you're just going like bing, boom, bang. I mean, that's what most of us do most of the time. Most people in the business, that's what they do. Do you think you're going to get to where you're going faster that way or by having a plan? You got to have a plan. And the plan is rooted in the schedule. Now, my advice to you, if you set up a schedule, I personally think the morning is the best time to try to stay on your schedule. Because the more crap that happens, which happens during the day, then the worse it can get. So for me, I found out very early on, if I got up early, like before anybody else gets up, very few people need me. They do not want my attention at 5 a.m., at 4:30 a.m., right? Now, some of you may not be able to do that, and I understand that. But if you can, you want to get up early and start early, try to stay on your schedule and get the important things done early, and then let whatever happens in the afternoon happen. So, like for me, this time now, I used to get up at 4:46. Now I have graduated since I'm now over 55 years old. I get up at 5 a.m. Okay. So 5 a.m. wake up. Then I go to the gym and I stay at the gym, usually get home about 8:15 from the gym. Okay. And then I try to clean myself up, play with the dog a little bit, and then I'm off to the office and I get things done then. So having not just work stuff in here, but your day. So if you want to work out, if you want to meditate, if you want to stretch, I don't know, whatever you do, put it all in here and just come up with a schedule. And after we try it for a week, if you don't do any of it, then we need to change the schedule or we need to create some accountability in your life. Yeah, the shock collar. We get a couple shock collars.
One per office.
So what are some things that as far as generating business, what are some things that would need to be in your schedule in order for you to generate some business?
Writing notes.
Writing notes. Okay. Now, unless you are some kind of Pulitzer Prize winning author, it shouldn't take that long to write a note. Okay. Now, maybe if you haven't seen somebody in a while and you're close to them and you want to really get into it, that's fine. But in most cases, It just needs to be a couple sentences. It's the thought that counts. Why are notes powerful? Why are they popular? Or why are they not popular?
People
Because
like
it takes
thought.
time to write them.
You put thought into it.
You put thought and it's caring. I mean, it's not a computer generated thing. It's like somebody actually had to write and do it and send. And how many of those do you get now?
You don't-
Not very many. So it stands out. Again, you're doing things that no one else is doing. And you add that to going to see people, and you add that to calling people, and you add that to being helpful and nice and providing service and doing good work and doing the things you say you're going to do. And all of a sudden you stand out from the crowd and you're still in the game and very successful. So writing notes, what else do you need to do?
Make calls.
Make some calls. If you don't like calling people, this could be a tough gig for you because you're gonna have to call. People, Ryan, how old are you? 24. Ryan's probably never made a phone call in his life. He has texted, he's probably made 67 texts already today. No phone call. And I get it, and maybe 25 years from now, there will not be any phone calls. But today there are phone calls. And texting is fine. I'm not saying you never want to text, and especially if you're in a younger generation where people are more used to that. Can you ever get misinterpreted through texting?
Yes.
I mean, I'm all the time like, jerk. And are they really? Just, like, well, like all the time I think Mike's a jerk because Mike voice texts all the time. He never proofreads it. So I don't have any idea what the hell he's talking about. And a lot of times, I feel like he's cussing at me or whatever. He's like driving down the road and somebody pulls, he's like, "You son of a bitch." And it says it right there. So you got to, when you talk to somebody, you can you're conveying feeling, they can't see you. That's why these face-to-face meetings are so good, but they can judge from the tonality and the energy in your voice. There's so much more to it than just factual information. But again, I'm not saying texting is bad. I still think we need to call people, even today. Everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Even Ryan says it's good. So he's gonna try it. So those numbers, what you do is you go to like the phone thing and then you type the numbers and then it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. All right, so calling people. What else do we need to do?
Show property.
Show property. If we have people to show property to, then we want to show property. You can shadow other agents. Hey, are you going on some showings, Davina? Yeah, well, could I tag along? Maybe she lets you tag along. That would be a great experience for you.
Open house.
We have open houses. Now, you're probably not going to do open houses every day, but you can schedule that for usually weekends is when those are done, but not to say you couldn't do one in the afternoon or on a regular day. Yeah.
Office time.
Office time, paperwork. I mean, we still got to get some junk done. I mean, it's just stuff. If you're brand new, you probably don't have as much stuff, but what you could be doing there is scheduling time to work on your database. Because if you don't schedule it, it doesn't happen, at least for me. Like if I don't put it in my schedule, then it just goes away. Okay, so you need to sit down with your database. This is, again, we'll talk about this next time, but like if tomorrow at 10 o'clock is database time for 45 minutes, then you just need to turn off your cell phone and just do it. Just get it done. What else you need to do? Yeah, you can do those Popeyes. You can do some, coffees and lunches and whatever else. People are like, well, I don't have any money. Okay, well, if you invite somebody to go get coffee, you don't necessarily have to pay for them. You don't have to pay for their lunch. You can if you want to, but as long as you have enough money to pay for yourself, then you should be okay. If you don't have any money at all, then, I don't know what to tell you. But you should be able to buy, go get a ice water and an iced tea or something like that, right?
Well, most of the times when I first started, I was having coffees with people that knew me and knew I was new in this.
And they bought it for you.
Insisted to buy me coffee, to buy me lunch.
Perfect.
I insisted, but they like double insisted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was only recently that,
Yeah, now they think you're a big shot. So like,
I
come
sure
on.
thing.
Yeah, let's go to the
Confidence is
expensive
everything,
coffee
Dan.
place. Give me one of those triple latte mocha locos. $7.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not about the coffee. It's not about the beer. It's not about the lunch. It's about the interaction between you. And these people will forget you. They got other things going on in their life other than trying to help you. So the more you can interact with them, the more you can show them you care without being a pain in the tail, the more likely it's going to work. You know, it's just like, if they see you once every 60 days and you call them once every 60 days, and they get a note from you once every, I'm just using an example of 60 days, and maybe they see your sign as they ride to, down the road, they see a sign with your name on it. And then in conversation, they hear another one of your friends brings you up. Then you're there, you're at the top of their mind. So when a referral comes up, they're more likely to refer you, or when it's their turn to buy or sell, they're more likely to engage with you on that. That's the whole name of the game. Beth Ann talked about showing property. What if you don't have any clients? What could you do as far as looking at properties?
Go out and preview.
Preview property. Now, this is something that people say, this is so dumb. Why would I want to do that? No one's going to let me do that. Well, you call and you can, through showing time, you don't have to tell them that you're previewing it. You just set it up, just boom, bing, and there you go. And if somebody says, well, did you have a client? You tell them what you give them the feedback, what you thought, and let it go. If somebody says, well, do you have a client? No, I'm previewing the property. I'm really trying to get knowledgeable about this area. So if I do have a client, then I'd be really familiar with the property. And if they say, well, that's dumb, I don't want to let you see the property, and say, well, then they're dumb. Because why would you, if you're working for a seller trying to get maximum exposure for their property to the marketplace, why would you not let professionals whose job it is to sell properties not see your house? Okay, tell them to call me. So, all right, so preview.
Can we back up just a minute?
Back up.
So you say preview properties, first I've heard that, I thought about it, but so if I go into showing time, or if I contact this meeting, I could go to the property without a plan and just check it out.
Correct. And you could go and look at it. I mean, and what a bet. See, here's the thing. If you're new, raise your hand again if you feel like you're relatively new. Or here's the, you don't know anything, okay? You don't know anything. So intelligence in the business is not your strong suit. What do you have? Time. What can I do with that time? I can become smarter. So if I were you and I knew I was going to want to work in this part of town, in this price range, I'd go see the houses. So then I try to hold an open house in there. When somebody comes in the open house, they say, well, they say, we don't really like this. We're really looking for a 3-bedroom. Well, have you seen 101 Elm Street? That has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it's $299,950. You probably like that one better because it's gray interior, it has granite countertops. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, you're a freaking expert. Right? See, I don't have time for that. So I don't know. I'm just like, I just try to, BS it because I can't see. I got to use experience where you can use your time. You just got to be competitive and play the hand you're dealt. Right now, you're not dealing with a bunch of aces and kings right now. So you gotta go out here and try to draw some, and previewing property could be a great way to do it. Most agents don't do it. Again, most agents are working at McDonald's in 18 months. I mean, we don't want you there. Although if you are there, you can maybe give me a free soda because I really like McDonald's sodas. Okay. That's the first time I've ever said that. I'm talking about McDonald's all the time. Okay, so what else do we need to do as far as trying to get out and put on the schedule? What are some other things? We talked about office time, we talked about notes, we talked about the calls, we talked about pop by, talked about showing property, previewing property. Yeah, a lot of us wind up, especially once you've been in the business for a while, right? You get into this, look at Shannon. Okay, Shannon's the worst. She used to be the worst one about this. So you wind up working, and what happens? Yeah, you go for 9 years and you don't have a vacation. What do you think that does to you? Like to your internal energy?
It
Burns
creates
you
a
out.
psyche where you can only really go away for 2 days before you start getting anxious.
Well, Shannon's still in that category, but she's building as you get out of it. So you got to make sure, you don't want to, you can overdo it. That's the problem with this business is the freedom. It's why we all got into this business, yet it's what kills us too. Because no one, like, it's not the Army, right? I mean, the Army used to say, man, forget this marching deal. I'm going to go to the beach. And that doesn't work. Okay. it's nice that you could, but if you go to the beach and you got to come back and you got to get back on it, you got to try to catch up. So, we just got to make sure that we're balancing things, and that can be a challenge. But if you were new, I would err on the side of working versus not working. Okay, we'll help you. We'll give you the Shannon treatment in a few years if things start to fall off. Okay, so family time, physical fitness. I mean, one of the things people don't realize is that this is it's almost a mind game, the real estate business. You control you, and you're going to control your success. And you're fired up, especially if you're new right now, you're fired up, you're seeing the bright lights, and you're thinking, man, I could really do this and change my life. But it never happens as fast as you want it to. For those of you that are experiencing it, no one ever says, gosh, I thought it was going to take a year. Man, it's like in 1 month, I was financially independent. It just takes a little bit longer. And that's okay, as long as you're getting there. But your mind wants to play tricks on you. And the more you burn out, and the more you let the negative thinking get into your head, the easier it is to just say, forget it. And the saddest thing for me is to watch you quit. Because most people that quit, some people they're not cut out for it. They're not going to be able to do it. Most people can do this. And most people, if they just doubled down rather than backing off, could get it done. If you look at the people that are successful, and again, don't look at them, if they've been in the business 30 years, you can't see what they're doing today. You got to rewind and ask people, what did they do? What did they do to get successful? And they were the people that were the first ones in the office. They were the people, the last ones to leave. They were the ones that just busted their butts. They went to all the training, they did everything. Okay, there's no slackers that have ever really gotten to a major league level in this business. Okay, so that's really the schedule for you. We're gonna fill that out. That's gonna be part of the homework. You're gonna fill this thing out, and we're just gonna give it a shot. So you fill it out, try to live that schedule this week, and then we'll see what happens. Everybody might say, well, this is a disaster, and we'll just have to rebuild it. But the whole idea is we're going to try to get some kind of routine and create some habits. Because if it just becomes a habit, like for me to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's just not a big deal. I mean, that's just what I did. In fact, it sort of sucks on the weekends because I still get up at 5 o'clock. It's that habitual. Like when you brush your teeth, it just, you just do that, right? These things, if you could just every day you just write 5 notes, and you just don't feel complete without doing that. You make the phone calls, then it's easy. Right, then it's easy. Okay, so let's go to the action items, and then we'll talk about the questions. So here's what we need to do action item wise. You see where it says action items? Just some blanks maybe. All right, you don't have that. All right, so here's what you could do. You get to write in your workbook. So on this page where it says 5 questions right here, you're going to write these things down. All right, we're going to internalize and memorize the mayor campaign, which I'm going to teach you in just a second. Internalize and memorize the mayor campaign. Number 2, we're going to do our best to wear our name tags and/or some kind of hometown realty identification so that people will flock to you and want to do business with you if you know what to say. So again, the best tip, if you don't have any idea what to say, somebody says, you work in hometown realty? Yeah, I sure do. When do you plan on moving?
Yeah.
Okay, and just see what happens.
Dean, I'll bring those buttons that say, when do you plan on moving?
Yeah, we got
Okay.
some fancy buttons. So if Mike decided to make those because he said no one would ever ask, when do you plan on moving? So he made a button that says, when do you plan on moving? I don't know if it's as good as asking, but it's better than nothing. All right, complete the goal sheet, complete the ideal schedule. We just talked about those 2 things. Those are the next 2. So complete the goal sheet, complete the ideal schedule. So here is the challenge. I want you each to meet with somebody who is an experienced agent. They don't need to be the #1 agent of the company. They just need to have some experience. They're a level or 2 ahead of you, at least. And then you're going to ask them those if you go to lunch or just sitting down at the office, whatever you want to do. Then ask them the questions that are above where you're writing right now. If you need to generate a lead in the next 8 hours, what would you do? I mean, if you absolutely had somebody put a gun to your head and says generate a lead, what would you do? And then on and on with those questions. Okay. Hopefully you'll get some good knowledge and be a good way. So you just need to, if you don't know anybody, if you don't know any experienced agents, then go to your manager and ask them to help hook you up with the agent. How many of you, let's get where our offices are. How many of you are in this office, in the Chesterfield office? How many in the Midlothian office? How many in the Mechanicsville office? How many in the Carytown office? How many in the Twin Hickory office? And anybody else? Well, you're sort of Lady Smith, Ashland. Yeah. All right, very good. Good diverse group. All right, a couple more things we're going to do for homework. I didn't say it was going to be easy. All right, number 6 is 10 contacts by phone, people in your database. All right. 10 contacts in your database. If you don't have a database, well, this is a good way to start. So whoever you call, they can be in your database. All right. So again, the database is going to be a list of relationships with names and numbers, but these are people that you feel, and it's not just out of the blue. This is like a phone book. And these are people that you know, and you're going to be trying to cultivate this relationship if it's not there already. You're also going to be building your database. So whatever database you have, I want you to bring it in. If it's on the computer, that's fine. If it's on paper, it's fine. However you got it, we want to bring that here. Some of you, how many of you are from out of the area? I mean, you recently moved into this area. So is everybody sort of from here for a while? That makes it a little bit easier because you probably know some people. You know, if you've got your cell phone and you got your list of contacts, great place to start with your database. If you've had a big party or something, had a big invitation list, great place to start. If you've been married recently, had your invitation for your wedding or something, that's a great place to start. If you got nothing, well, you just got to start. So you want to start trying to write that down. We'll talk next time a little bit more about that. All right, so we got 10 COI or database contacts, 10 handwritten notes, and 1 pop by. Need notes, like the note cards. You can, if you're ever in Ashland, I've got a bunch of extra ones.
I can bring a bunch.
Yeah, and Stephanie can help with that as well. But it can be on stationery, it can be anything you want to do.
Hey, Dean,
Yes.
Becky at our office, she has like a script of notes to write for all different occasions. So you don't have to think of, like when you sit down to write 10 notes, sometimes you like, I just wrote that. But if she has a script and it's just like, hey, you just listed your house, I just sold your house, or I just sold her house, or you just had a baby, or you just had a birthday. And it's just a script and we just copy the script and send it out. And it's very easy, very simple, and it makes it.
It could be even something like, you know, hey, I just had talked to you a while, just want to check in, say hello. Hope you're ready for the holiday season, and maybe we'll see each other real soon. Hugs and kisses, Dean.
They work.
Yeah.
I've gotten probably 5 deals just from handwritten notes this year.
Same.
Yeah. So why would we want to do that? You know, think of the tax problem it would be.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, well,
terrible.
that's
I'm mad your
It's
wife
not,
is at
listen,
me.
here's the thing, don't think it's rocket science. Like, if you look at the people that are very successful, they're as dumb as me. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket, you just got to do stuff, you know, and you have to have a good attitude, and you have to treat people the way you want to be treated, be honest with people, and it can work. Okay, so let's talk about, any questions about the accountability stuff, the assignments? Pretty simple. All right, let's talk about the mayor campaign. So if I were running, or you were running for mayor of a small town, you'd probably get out on the street, introduce yourself, shake hands, and say something like, you know, hey, if you don't already have a candidate that you're supporting, could I interest you in supporting me? With that, something like that, right? You know, you kiss babies and whatever. So maybe give them a campaign sticker or a flyer or something like that. So you're running for real estate agent, right? So the dialogue, when you have people that you're trying to get into the program in your database, is called the mayor campaign. And that basically says, hey, Ryan, if you were looking to buy or sell a home, or if you knew or had a friend or family member who was, you have an agent you refer them to. Pretty humble. I mean, what if he says, yeah, I've got every member of my family since colonial times has been in the real estate business, and I would go with them. Good for him, right? Now we know I can still be friends with Ryan, but Ryan is not going to be a big part of my database, right? Because he's got a relationship, and more power to him. Okay. However, if he says, well, really don't know anybody, I guess I'd refer them to you. Then what are you thinking? Ding, 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 we got a winner.
Yes.
But that's not it. That's just the beginning. In order for me to make sure that that happens, I've got to stay in touch. I have to prove to Ryan over time that I am of good character, that I am competent in my profession. And I have to show him that I'm confident in what I do. Okay, and then the whole referral chain, the stream can start to flow. It doesn't just naturally happen. They have to, there's got to be trust along the way. So don't be discouraged if Ryan says, yeah, I'd love to. And then in a week later, you haven't got any referrals from Ryan. That's called normal. Okay, we just need to keep going. He might say, well, yeah, man, I'm looking to buy a house next week. And that's even better. But that's unusual. Okay. The database thing it's a long play. However, it can be a huge play, and it will be a huge play for you. Okay, so again, if you were looking to buy or sell a home, or had a friend or family member who was, is there an agent you'd refer them to? Okay, that's the beginning of the mayor campaign, then it goes on from there. The one for somebody who you feel like, if you feel pretty good about the people and you have a good relationship with them, you would say, if you were looking to buy or sell a home, or had a friend or family member who was, am I the agent you'd refer them to? That's a little bit more, assumptive. So there's two variations of the mayor campaign that you can use. Do you think anybody in the history of real estate has ever gotten just knocked unconscious after they've said that? No, it's very non-confrontational. Somebody could say that they're not going to work with you, who knows what's going to happen, but more than likely you're going to live through that experience. No one has died after just saying that. So I'd like you to learn that, and we're going to practice that next time. So if you don't have that in your brain, then shame on you. You get a F for next week. All right. And I guess the last thing on the accountability is to look at that, the introductory letter or the apology letter. If you have not already sent that out, then you need to come up with something that is ready to go by next week. And many of you have already sent that out. All right, that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions for me? Yeah.
When we're trying to go through it, when we're creating our database,
Mhm.
we need their name, address, phone number, and email.
Much information.
Much as information as you can. Now, I'll tell you this, when I do it, because I don't know, I got ADD or whatever you got, so I try to think names. So I'm going to take 30 minutes. I'm just going to think names. I'm just going to start writing down names. I'm not going to get sidetracked with phone numbers and all that stuff. Just come up, try to get as many names I can get in whatever time I'm allowing myself. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go through those names and I'm going to find the information that I need. Email. So it's two separate. Now that works for me. You may be able to do it differently, but I found if I do it the other way, then I just wind up getting like 2 or 3 and then I get sick of it.
Yeah. Long term, our goal is for you to develop a deeper relationship with them. At first, this first time, we want to get the names down and we want to kind of categorize them and we want to get phone and email. Long term, I collect the kids' names, their birthday, their anniversary, their house anniversary, so that I have reasons to write notes. It is so much easier if I can get them a 50-cent birthday card and send that out on their birthday or 5 days before, or I can send them an anniversary card, or when I send them a Christmas card, which I do, I address it to everyone in the family. I am so OCD about trying to get the right information that if I have the chance, I'm going to try to write the dog's name. And when they come to my pie events, I'm going to get what pie it was they liked. Doesn't mean that they're going to get the same one next time, but if I have a reason to stop by in the area and it's Christmas time and maybe I didn't see them for Thanksgiving, I might drop off after or something. Anything like that that gives you a reason to be care and connected gives you a reason to stand out. Like we had so many people thank us, all the older team members that do the pie buys and everything. We have so many people who thank us publicly on Facebook and everything. And it's great to be appreciated. But just know, I don't actually remember your child's name. I write it down. If you go into your email system and you set it up properly on your phone, you can actually go into any person and make notes so that I can see what it is on my phone. So I don't have to try to remember. If I'm getting ready to do a pop by, I don't have to try to remember what their kids' names was.
So next time, let's remember this, Shannon, if you can get that
Mhm.
on here.
Yeah.
And we'll sort of show you how to do that and just use example that Shannon uses.
Mhm.
But those are all, like, if you're trying to write a note, like we were talking about, and you just got like, you've written them 10 notes over a couple of years and you're like, what do I say? Well, first off, they don't remember what you said in the last one. Like you're like, well, gosh, it needs, they're just sort of looking at it and it's conveying the feeling. Now, I guess if you wrote the exact same thing every time, they would bust you, but it's more about the thought. But if you have the kids' names or whatever else, what I like to do is go on social media and try to look them up on social media. If I say, hey, they just went to Cancun, then you say something like that, or if they're standing around the Christmas tree or whatever it might be. So that's a little tip that might give you some idea of what, to say that's a little bit more personal. Think of this too, you guys are, most people here are relatively new in the business. Let's think you're 25 years from now, you're ready to retire. You got a successful business. Most agents, when they retire, they just get their stuff, put in the box and leave, and that's it. No more income, no more anything. Your database, again, back to that's your most valuable asset. How valuable would it be if you're new to the business right now, like let's say we pick on Ryan again. If Ryan's brand new to the business and if I just said, okay, Ryan, here is my database right here. It's all yours. For the next year or so, we're going to go around. I'm going to introduce you to all these people and let them know that you're a good guy. I'm going to train you and everything else. But this is going to be yours. And then you're going to give me a little piece of the action on all the stuff that comes out of here. Would you want that deal?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay. But if I don't have, would I want that deal? Yeah, because I'm like at the beach and hanging out and check. Just good job, Ryan. Ryan. Yeah, awesome. And my people are being taken care of, whatever else. But if you don't have the database and it's time to go, then you just go. And you're like, where's the checks? No check. No check. So this way it could benefit you and could benefit the future too. So that's what we got. Thank you a ton for agreeing to do this. Let's hope we have some fun. Shouldn't take any more than an hour each time. And one of the best things we're going to do down the line is everybody in here is going to have to give their listing presentation live. And we're going to have to schedule, because we have a lot of people, but we're going to have to schedule that. But we're going to make sure everybody at least gives a listing presentation and is critiqued by somebody who has somewhat of an idea of what's going on. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nate.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's the official sheet. Here's
Yeah.
the official stickers.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, hey Dean.
Yes.
Volunteer to do her listing presentation for you personally.
Thanks, Shannon.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's coming. That'll be after Christmas.
Thank goodness.
Did everybody sign in? Hi, baby. Got you, but go ahead and sign in. Do you know who Greg
Here's the
Lowe
thing.
is?
Don't worry about that. You
Greg
can't sell
Lowe?
it. What you cannot do is you can't get paid for selling.
Yeah, right here. Here, Rolls. He got sitting right here.
You
Okay.
can't give people substantive advice on what
Thanks.
to do. But are you with Hometown Realty? You don't want to say, I'm a licensed realtor,
How are you?
bogus real estate license number.
What's
whatever.
it?
Yeah. Change careers with
Trying to
Hometown
get some
Realty.
deals
Really
closed.
get nothing on here. Build
But now
my
fires are good, good, you know. I mean,
They're very close. They know what I'm doing.
you doing okay? I like that Monday, thanks. Monday, yeah.
So.
Things just not working, you
But I
know.
had this one.
Internet's not working, you know, just crap like normal.
Yeah.
Great on the Monday after a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good holiday.
I did. How about you? Have everybody home?
Anyway.
Yeah.
He did my part.
got to hang out with my grandbabies. So that's all.
Aw, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you, sweetie.